Heal your hurt before it kills your heart. The first time I sat down with Sonika Manandar, I was struck by something that transcends her impressive resume. Here was a woman who had co founded a groundbreaking fintech company in Nepal, earned international recognition, and was literally transforming the economic landscape for hundreds of women entrepreneurs. Yet what radiated from her wasn't pride in these accomplishments, it was a profound sense of peace. Before I could truly help others, she told me, her eyes reflecting wisdom beyond her years, I had to heal myself. That statement stopped me in my tracks, not because it was revolutionary, but because it was so rarely acknowledged in spaces where achievement is the only currency that seems to matter. We live in a world obsessed with success metrics, don't we? Revenue growth, market expansion, social media followers, the endless pursuit of more, bigger, faster. We've created entire industries dedicated to optimizing performance while systematically ignoring the human hearts powering these ambitions. It's as if we're all competing in a marathon while pretending we don't have feet. But what if the most important metric, the one that determines whether our success will fulfill us or destroy us, is how thoroughly we've healed our wounds? What if our unaddressed pain is silently sabotaging everything we're working so hard to build? I've spent the past year interviewing remarkable women entrepreneurs, community leaders, and change makers like Sonika Manandar for my work. And across these conversations, a powerful pattern emerged, one that challenges everything we've been taught about the path to meaningful success. The pattern is this: healing isn't just a nice to have luxury after you've made it, healing is the prerequisite for sustainable success in the first place. Let me say that again because it matters. Healing isn't what happens after you succeed. Healing is what makes true success possible. When I spoke with Sonik about her journey creating Aloyi, a fintech company supporting underserved micro entrepreneurs in Nepal, she didn't start by telling me about her business model or funding strategy. She started by sharing how she had to confront her own internalized doubts as a woman in tech before she could effectively advocate for others. The tech world wasn't built for women like me, she explained, with a clarity that comes only from hard won self awareness. For years, I tried to succeed by pretending those barriers didn't exist, by pushing down the hurt of exclusion and discrimination. But I couldn't truly innovate solutions for other women until I acknowledged how these systems have wounded me too. This isn't soft talk. This isn't indulgent navel gazing. This is strategic wisdom. Because here's what happens when we build empires on unhealed foundations: they crumble, or worse, they stand, but we break beneath their weight. I see it all the time. The entrepreneur whose childhood abandonment issues drive her to work 80-hour weeks, sacrificing her health on the altar of never being left behind again. The community leader whose unprocessed trauma leads her to control every aspect of her organization until burnout or resentment inevitably follows. The high achieving professional whose fear of vulnerability creates a leadership style that produces results but destroys relationships. We call this success, but at what cost? It's like building a magnificent house while ignoring the termites in the foundation. It looks impressive until it doesn't. At the Makwanpur Market Fair in Nepal, an event organized by Sonika's company Aloy, alongside partners like UNDP, something remarkable happened that illustrates this principle perfectly. Women from community forest user groups who had been systematically excluded from mainstream commerce gathered to sell their products. Everything from herbal soaps made with mugwort and hemp to traditional woolen clothes and handicrafts. But the real transformation wasn't in the sales figures, impressive as they were. It was in what happened internally for these women. One participant told Sonika, "For years, I believed my work had no value because that's what I was told. Today, I watch people appreciate what I created with my hands. Something healed in me that I didn't even know was broken." That's the thing about unhealed hurt. Sometimes we don't even recognize it until the moment healing begins. It's like walking around with a pebble in your shoe for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to walk without pain. Over 700 visitors attended that 2-day fair. 23 stalls featured eco friendly products from women entrepreneurs who had previously been invisible to the mainstream economy. Sales exceeded expectations, but the most valuable metric wasn't financial. It was the restoration of dignity, the healing of self worth. And here's where it gets interesting. After that healing began, their businesses flourished in ways they never had before. Not because they suddenly gained new skills, but because they finally believed they deserved to succeed. This pattern repeats across industries, cultures, and contexts. Healing isn't just personal, it's profoundly practical. It's ROI positive. It's the ultimate competitive advantage. But let's be honest, in many communities, especially among high achieving women, there's often little space for this kind of healing work. We're too busy being strong, too occupied with holding everything together, too committed to the cape we never asked to wear but somehow can't put down. As one woman in our community recently shared, "I was raised to believe that acknowledging pain was a luxury I couldn't afford. My grandmother worked through illness. My mother raised 4 children alone while building a career. Who was I to complain about needing emotional healing when they survived without it?" But here's the revolutionary question: what if they survived not because they ignored their pain, but despite it? What if they could have thrived even more brilliantly had they been permitted the healing they deserved? What if the strongest thing we can do isn't to endure pain, but to transform it? This brings me to the second pattern I've observed in these conversations. Healing rarely happens in isolation. Community and connection are the fertile soil where healing takes root. When Sonika Arya, another remarkable entrepreneur I interviewed, publicly honored her father's unwavering support on Father's Day, she wasn't just expressing gratitude. She was modeling something radical: the acknowledgement that even the strongest among us need support systems to thrive. Despite societal expectations that often discourage vulnerability, especially among professionals globally, Sonika openly credited her father for nurturing the emotional strength that allowed her to face adversity. Her post resonated widely across social media, inspiring others to share stories about mentors who helped them heal past hurts before pursuing bold goals themselves. This public acknowledgement of needing others isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's recognition that healing happens in relationship. We are wounded in connection. We must also heal in connection. I see this same principle at work in the community forest user groups in Nepal. Many members had previously struggled with self worth due to generational trauma linked to poverty or exclusion from mainstream commerce. But healing accelerated when they came together, when individual pain was met with collective support. Today, these empowered women serve as role models within their villages. Some have gone on to mentor younger entrepreneurs, teaching not just business acumen, but emotional resilience. Their healing has become contagious, creating ripple effects throughout their communities. This is the third pattern that emerged from these conversations. When we transform our pain into purpose, we create impact that outlasts us. The women entrepreneurs at the Makwanpur Market Fair didn't just heal themselves, they created sustainable income streams for dozens of families. They preserved cultural heritage through traditional crafts. They became living examples of what's possible when women support women. Their healed hurt became a healing force for others. I think about Sonika Manandar again, how her personal journey through male dominated tech spaces could have left her bitter or burned out. Instead, she channeled that experience into creating Alloy, which has become a model for inclusive economic development across South Asia. Her leadership has won international recognition, including the prestigious Women in Tech title. But more importantly, it has set new benchmarks for gender equity in fintech, an industry not exactly known for its inclusivity. This is what becomes possible when we heal first. Our success becomes sustainable, our impact becomes generational, our legacy becomes liberation, not just for ourselves, but for everyone our lives touch. So, where does this leave us? With a profound invitation to reconsider what true success requires. What if, before we launch that business, we addressed the childhood wound that makes us equate our worth with our productivity? What if, before we take on another leadership role, we healed the part of us that needs constant external validation? What if, before we set out to change the world, we allowed ourselves to be changed by confronting our deepest hurts? This isn't about navel gazing or endless introspection that prevents action. It's about building on foundations that can actually support the weight of our dreams. It's about recognizing that our unhealed hurt doesn't just harm us, it limits what we can offer others. It constrains our creativity, dampens our courage, and distorts our vision of what's possible. As Sonika Arya's story reminds us, sometimes the strongest family bonds underpin professional courage. Growing up witnessing sacrifice and silence around pain inspired her and many others to break cycles through open communication and love fueled ambition rather than stoic endurance alone. Her approach has shifted conversations around leadership away from grind culture toward balanced success grounded firmly in healed hearts and homes. This isn't just feel good philosophy, it's practical wisdom for sustainable impact. I stand before you today not as someone who has mastered this healing journey, but as someone who recognizes its urgent necessity. The world doesn't need more successful people who are broken inside. The world needs whole people who bring their healed hearts to the work that matters. So I challenge you, no, I dare you to make healing your first priority, not your last, not your someday, not your when I have time, your first. Because everything you hope to build, everyone you hope to lead, and every change you hope to create in this world depends on the foundation of your healed heart. What would you attempt if you weren't carrying the weight of your unhealed wounds? What vision would you pursue if fear wasn't holding you back? What relationships would flourish if old pain wasn't dictating your responses? These aren't rhetorical questions. They are invitations to a different kind of success, one that doesn't require sacrificing your soul on the altar of achievement. As you leave this talk today, I ask you to take one concrete step towards your healing. Reach out to a therapist, join a support group, Have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Write the letter you never sent. Release the grudge you've been nursing. Find your community of healing because your healing isn't just about you, it's about everyone your life will touch. It's about the innovations that can only emerge from your unique perspective once it's not clouded by pain. It's about the communities you'll build, the changes you'll champion, and the love you'll finally feel worthy of receiving and giving. Heal your hurt before it kills your heart, not after you've achieved everything else, not as a reward for crossing some arbitrary finish line of success. Heal now. Heal first. Because everything meaningful you hope to build depends on it. And as the women entrepreneurs of Nepal, the visionary leaders like Sonika Manandar, and countless others have shown us when we prioritize healing, we don't just succeed. We transform what success means altogether.